Graphing linear equations, worksheet number 2. For worksheet number 2, I'm not going to do exactly the same thing I did with worksheet number 1. Worksheet number 1, I walked you through every single problem to show you how to do these problems. So worksheet number 1 was me teaching you how to do it. Worksheet number 2 is you practicing how to do it. So before we get started, though, I want to, you don't have to write this down. I just want to show you this. Okay? Not that. Yeah, remember that your slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So the slope is in front of x. The slope is the coefficient of x. And your slope is your rise over run. So that's all this information right there. The number that follows x, this right there, that is your y-intercept. And your y-intercept is your starting point on the y-axis. And remember, the y-axis is the one that runs vertically. Now, when you're graphing your slope, for your slope, your first movement is either going to be up if it's positive and then to the right, or down if it's negative and then to the right. It is always to the right. And I explained that's because when you write down the slope, if it's negative, put that negative with the numerator, which means your rise, that numerator number, that's what's negative. But the denominator is still a positive number. So the run will always be positive. And if the run is positive, you go to the right. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 of the problems with you. So I'm going to do 2, and you'll have 8 to do on your own. So let's start with number 1. Now, each one of these questions is worth 3 points. So it's going to be 3 points. This is 1 point. This is 1 point. And the graph is 1 point. So each question is 3 points. If you forget these 2 up here, you're going to fail the worksheet without even doing anything. Okay? You got to make sure that you have the slope written down, the y-intercept written down, and then the graph correct. This is kind of nice because if you get the slope correct and you get the y-intercept correct, but you get the graph wrong or points off for the graph being crooked or whatever, then you still get 2 out of 3 points, which will keep you passing. All right, so for number 1, the slope is the coefficient of x. So my slope is -4. Now, we want slope to be a fraction, so we put it over 1. My y-intercept is the number that follows the x, which is +1. So that's the stuff you must write down. Now, I know on the other paper we would always put start here. You don't have to write that, okay? You don't have to write that. I just want to remind you that that is where we start on the y-axis. What you do need to write, though, are your arrows depending on which direction your slope goes. So, since my slope is negative, it's a negative slope. That means it's going to go down. Again, you don't have to write this. I just want you to know. If you do, that's great, but you don't have to. Since it's negative, I'm going to go down 4, and I'm going to go to the right 1. Down 4 to the right 1. So I'm going to start my point at +1. Here's the origin. I'm going to go up to +1, and that's where I start by placing my first point there. Now to graph it, I'm going to go down 4 and to the right 1. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. My slope is -4, so -1, -2, -3, -4, down 4, to the right 1. I can't go down 4 more, so I'm done going that direction. The opposite direction is up and to the left. So I'm going to go up 4 to the left 1. So starting at this point, I'm going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 1. And that's all the farther I can go that direction. So you should only have 3 points for this graph. And now you're ready to connect the points. So if you're doing this on paper, make sure you're using your straight edge. Again, sometimes it is easier to zoom in to make sure you're getting the line to go through the center. And then when you're done, put arrows on the end of your graph. And that's it for number 1. So again, you don't have to have that written down over there. Everything else, if it's there right now, it must be written on your paper. So yes, you do need this. You do need that. Okay, let's go to number 7. Or sorry, number 8. I want to go to number 8. All right, for number 8, y equals 7/5 x minus 3. 7/5 is my coefficient of x, and that is your slope. My y-intercept is that number at the end. That's -3. I want you to notice that your slope is positive, so your line will be going upward from left to right. You don't need to write that. You can if you want. Since it's a positive slope again, I'm going to go up 7 to the right 5. Up 7 to the right 5. So I start by putting my point at -3 on the y-axis. And again, this is where I start. That is the y-intercept, so that's where I start on the y-axis. So here's the origin. I go down 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to start at -3 on the y-axis. And my slope is 7/5. So up 7 over 5. Up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's it. Those are the only 2 points that I could fit on this graph. I can't go up 7 more. I can't go down 7 more. So those are the only 2 points that you need to graph this line. So use your straight edge. Go past the grid lines, and then when you're done, put your arrows on the end. And that is it for number 8. All right. If you'll notice, I did box the slope and circle the y-intercept for each of these problems. So if you need to, you could pause the video and get that down for 7, 9, and 10. There's 5 and 6. 3 and 4. And then 2. If you have any questions on worksheet number 2, please do not hesitate to ask. All right, and then just one more quick reminder. You need the slope, that is 1 point, including the arrows. You need the y-intercept, that is 1 point, and you need the graph, that is 1 point. If you have any questions on this worksheet, please let me know.